We were pretty clear moving forward with the Open Meetings Act. After we submitted the request under the Maryland Public Information Act and looking at all of that documentation, and after we didn't find anything, that's when we solicited the assistance from the ACLU. We sent them all the documents, they looked at it, and they says, hey, I believe the council may be in violation of the Open Meetings Act. So they said, let's file the complaint. So we filed the complaint after reviewing the documents, and we waited for a decision, and they ruled in our favor. Yeah. I think where the council wanted to kind of hang their hats on was the fact that there was a gray area. And as I told the council president, Mr. Pack, that, in the gray area, it still states that that's when you need to be more transparent, the more, because of the gray area, which the council failed to do. We knew how they were going to vote. That wasn't a hidden agenda. We knew they had already stated that. But I guess for us, the disappointing thing was the fact that they have yet to see the disrespect that monument bears with that Confederate monument, with that Confederate flag, so to say. So that's the disappointing part, that we have a government who is supposed to be representing all people, but yet you can't see it from the lens of a person of color. It was a matter of equality. We have a Confederate monument on a courthouse lawn that bears a Confederate statue, a Confederate monument, which indicates hatred and oppression and injustice. And is that the message that we want to send? I recognize that was a very good day for us. But I think an even better day would have been if we would allow, if the county council would have allowed for a commission to come up with some ideas for creating a new statute that was more inclusive, but less offensive. I mean, our critics are talking about, oh, we're trying to erase history. Well, that is so misconstrued, because if you would look at our original recommendations, we talked about having another monument that was dedicated to the Confederate side of the Army and the Union, but just not a hatred. That flag has hatred meaning to groups of people. And, that's what we're saying needs to be removed. That's what needs to come off the courthouse lawn. We don't need a message on a courthouse lawn that is talking about hatred and oppression and injustice to a group. One thing that would definitely have to happen is trust being built and a relationship being formed. And because through the relationship, that's how I develop my trust. So if that's what the council wants, then I think they need to approach, some African-American organizations and really be serious about what it is that you want. Because one thing, people can decipher whether you're real or fake. And people can decipher whether or not you're really in this because this is the right thing to do, or it makes you look good. So people can pick up on that pretty easy. Yeah. So definitely, making sure that your heart is in the right place so that people can trust you. Because race is that conversation that we don't want to have. And in order to have the conversation, you have to deal with your issues with race first. Again, this is how the healing process begins. And this is how we begin to know each other. And then we have that sensitivity for one another's culture. And we understand and we're aware of each other's culture so that we're not forming these biases based upon what we're hearing in the media and things of that nature. When I do diversity training, I'm always talking about the cultural proficiency continuum. So everyone falls somewhere in that continuum. Now, if you look, the way I typically do it is you have your positive, which is your cultural proficiency, and then you have your negative, which is the cultural blindness. So it's, you equate that to racism and non-racism, sort of. And I will say it's difficult for Caucasians to see that they're culturally blind because of white privilege. So, when you talk about white privilege, that's where they build the perception that you're now calling me a racist, and because of what I have and the privilege that I have because I am white. But that's not what that term is coined as. It's just saying to you that you have to recognize that you have differences that are of value that a person of color will never have. Well, and the right space is to acknowledge that yes, I am an individual of color, and I'm going to bring to the table a different set of beliefs, a different set of opinions that are just as worthy as yours. And we have to have that conversation where we both can leave on mutual grounds, being respectful of one another's decisions, and at the end of the day, still being each other's friend and doing what's good for the common cause.